forgot to mention that. We did Superflex draft, a 12-team Superflex draft, and the obvious question with Superflex is, when do I take my quarterbacks? And we'll talk about some of the takeaways from that draft. But here's a quick round of emails. This is from Bradley. Dear Andy, Ron, Ann, and Leslie, that is Parks and Rec, what am I missing with Michael Pittman? I feel like up to this point, he has significantly underdelivered based on how many snaps he has played. He was wide receiver 26 in points per game last year as a second-year wide receiver. I thought it was even lower than that, honestly.
It was one spot lower, 27.
Okay. And you each expect him to jump into the top 10 now. Would love to hear a detailed explanation on what changed so much in the last few months for Pittman and what puts him clearly ahead of A.J. Brown when you're expecting Hurts to be a top 5 quarterback.
I can speak to it from a projection standpoint. And first off, like, not all good wide receivers break out in year 2. And he did have a mini breakout last year. Some wide receivers still have third-year breakouts. But the big change numbers-wise for me has just been the acquisition of Matt Ryan and the confidence that Frank Reich appears to have in him. Last year, we saw the Colts as an extremely run-heavy team. Their head coach has talked about the teams that win championships don't do that. They threw 31 fewer passes last year in 17 games than they threw in 16 games the year before, which tells you there could be a jump of 50, 60, 70 pass attempts for the Colts this year. And there is no one else to infringe upon Michael Pittman's range as the wide receiver one. So if he gets 26% of the targets and their targets go up by 80, then he's got 20 more targets. And that's a big jump in that range of wide receivers.
Think of him as the CeeDee Lamb of the Indianapolis Colts, because I think that's what we're looking at. But unlike CeeDee Lamb, Matt Ryan has a pretty consistent track record of honing in on one guy or maybe two guys and just, super serving them with targets. The guys that he did that with, Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, pretty awesome guys. Is Pittman as good as they are? Athletically, probably not, but that's what he's got, and I think he's going to lean on him, and they love Matt Ryan. Heath talked about that. I see a path to 150 targets. The only thing I'm worried about is like double-digit touchdowns, because we've seen Matt Ryan not super serve touchdowns to his wide receivers, certainly his number one guys. But even if he had 100 catches, 1,400 yards, he could lead the NFL in receiving yards. I really believe that. The volume could be there. And 6 touchdowns on top of that, that's going to end up being a number one fantasy receiver.
I have him projected for almost exactly what Dave said in 2 regards. 150 targets, 100 catches.
How many yards per catch?
1,244 yards, so 12.4.
Okay, so 12.4. Yeah, I think he can beat that.
And then 7 touchdowns.
The problem, I think, when he was going in round 4, it was just such a slam dunk because so safe with the targets that he's going to get. The problem I think people are having right now is we haven't seen Michael Pittman make the leap to being one of the best receivers yet, and maybe he can be. But when you're taking him, when you're deciding between Michael Pittman and guys that we know are some of the best wide receivers in football, just from a talent level, like Deebo Samuel, Tyreek Hill, A.J. Brown, and then guys like Mike Evans and Keenan Allen, I think that's where fantasy managers have some difficulty deciding between them.
As you angrily told me on the last time we were on a show together, I'm not drafting him for what they did last year.
I'm just simply saying, I think the issue is people don't believe in Michael Pittman the way they believe in the players that they've seen be superstars. And I get it. And I had trouble with it too. I had to decide between him and Keenan Allen, and I took Keenan Allen in a full PPR league because they're both, I think, really safe in that format. And I've just seen Keenan Allen do it time and time again. And, but I get it. I mean, I just wasn't quite ready to make Michael Pittman a round 2 pick.
Sure. And it's a late round 2 pick, if round 2 at all. He's probably better in early to middle round 3. But every receiver's gone through that point. There was a point when no one wanted Devontae Adams. There was a point when no one was, that excited about Chris Godwin. You can talk about it with Cooper Kupp. Last year, he was a 5th round pick. Mm-hmm. So I'm comfortable with where we're at with him. I love his schedule too. Projected for the 5th easiest schedule for wide receivers. I think he goes off.